Hey guys, Angie to break down UFC 298, Alexander Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria for the featherweight title. I'm really looking forward to this card. Originally, there was a little bit of concern for Volkanovski taking this fight after such a short turnaround, taking that knockout from Islam Makhachev. However, there is a bit of a silver lining in the fact that Volkanovski has taken an extra month. He seems to be in very good mental health. He seems to be as ready as ever, and I think if anyone can pull this off, I think he can. But before I talk about the main event, let's get into the rest of the card. First fight of the night, we've got Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Kopylov. Both are very equally matched. Roman Kopylov is replacing Ikram Aliskerov. I don't really know how much notice he's had. They've both got very similar stats physically, and they're both on a 4-fight win streak. Hernandez is favoured to win by a large margin. Maybe it's the notice for Roman Kopylov. Roman Kopylov has kind of been very sneaky with all of the stoppages he's had. He's looked really good, but he's been very sneaky. So I think we know a bit more about Hernandez, perhaps. Hernandez has shown maybe more of a all-rounded skill set with his jiu-jitsu. He choked out that guy who was a master at jiu-jitsu. Sorry, I don't have his name here. They both have a common opponent in Josh Fremd. The difference is that Anthony took him to a decision, whereas Roman Kopylov KO'd him. But that was quite a while ago, so it's not really comparable. I think this fight is anyone's fight. I think Kopylov does have the wrestling as well. Hernandez has the jiu-jitsu. I think Hernandez is a little bit more well-rounded. Having said that, I think this is anyone's fight. Should be fun though. I love watching Anthony Hernandez, and this is going to be a really fun fight. My official prediction would be Anthony Hernandez by submission or by a decision. Well, I guess I had better pick submission if I'm going to be definitive about this. Second fight of the main card, we have Merab Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo. I'm not exactly thrilled about this fight, even though it is actually a really exciting fight. I'm not too excited, mainly because Henry, he faced Aljamain Sterling for the bantamweight strap, and it just seems downhill from here. I thought that Aljamain Sterling easily won that fight against Henry Cejudo, even though it was a split decision. I mean, everyone has their opinion. I think Henry now is a little bit old for bantamweight, and he's actually quite undersized for bantamweight. Yeah, he is a great fighter though, so he does have a chance, but I think Merab Dvalishvili is just too much, too big. His cardio is amazing. He has that reach on him as well, has a bit more body mass. He's going to hydrate to a heavier weight. I think this is going to be a really hard fight for Henry to win. It probably would be a bit more interesting if it was a 5-round fight though, but I still think Merab's going to be too much for Henry. He's on a 9-fight winning streak as well. Henry Cejudo is a big name for Merab though. That's the thing. He is a big name. But I think Merab, I want to see him tested. And I know that sounds really bad. I feel like Henry's not going to test him. I just think that Henry is an easy matchup for Merab. They both got this wrestling base. I think Merab's just a bigger, younger version. Merab's a freak of nature with his cardio and his pace. I definitely have Merab winning this by decision, unless Henry's gonna somehow put Merab off his momentum, because Henry is very good at game plans. But I have to go with Merab by decision. But he can't take Henry lightly either. He's got to take this fight very seriously. Jeff Neal and Ian Machado Gary. So Ian was meant to fight Vicente Luque last year, maybe a month or two ago, and he had a lot of drama that went on. And then he got pneumonia in his weight cut, and he was going through a lot of stress, so that could have been it. But I also wonder whether the weight cut to welterweight is catching up with him now that he's getting a bit older. He's 26, because maybe the welterweight would have worked for him in his youth, but not really anymore now that he's growing into more of a man body. So he's 6'3", that's massive for welterweight in height. However, he does have an equal reach to Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal probably has a bit of an advantage here. If he gets on the inside, he's got a lot of power, and Ian could be in a lot of trouble. So Ian has to keep him at range, which Ian does pretty well anyway. But I wonder whether this weight cut is catching up with him. The other thing about Jeff Neal is that he's only been fighting once a year. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's injury or something else. He did lose by submission to Shavkat Rakhmonov. I thought that fight was very competitive though, and I thought that he landed some really great shots on Shavkat. So Jeff Neal's no slouch. I kind of like Jeff Neal in this matchup, just given the circumstances that Ian's been under. I'm not saying that Ian can't deal with all this stuff. I'm sure he can, but I just wonder whether all of these factors are coming into play a bit. And I keep forgetting he's undefeated as well. The thing about Ian is that he is very good. I mean, he's been obviously favoured by the promotion, but I think that this is going to be a very tough matchup for him. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Jeff Neal come on top. So my official prediction would be Jeff Neal by KO. But don't take my word for it if you're gambling. Okay, co-main event. We have Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this fight. I think a lot of people aren't counting on Paulo Costa to come through with this at whatever stage it is. Maybe he misses the weight now that it's come into fight week, because usually you don't actually make it to fight week. I think Whittaker is an idiot for taking this fight again with Paulo Costa. Not just because he's given him another chance, but I think that he should. I mean, Whittaker's a nice guy. He's not going to count anyone out. He's going to give you another chance, even though he's been screwed over. That's why I was a little bit annoyed to see Whittaker take this fight. Having said that, I think it's a very winnable fight for Whittaker. Paulo Costa, I think he means well, but he hasn't been very professional in a lot of areas. He's only been fighting once a year on average, and I think a lot of that is due to him struggling maybe with a weight cut as well, because he is large for middleweight, and maybe his tactic is to miss weight so he can beat Whittaker, because Whittaker is not a big middleweight. I still don't think he can beat Whittaker though, but putting the size on him is probably not a bad idea, just because he did lose against Dricus du Plessis, who's huge. Although that loss has aged a lot better now, hasn't it? Physically speaking, though, Whittaker does have a reach advantage. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say on this fight, just because I think it's an easy win for Whittaker. But Paulo Costa does have a chance, especially if he does miss the weight, then he can use that extra weight to his advantage. I still think he'll be too slow though for Robert, and I've got Robert Whittaker winning this by decision. And I say by decision because I think Paulo Costa is really hard to knock out. And in the last fight against Luke Rockhold, although yeah, Luke Rockhold nearly knocked him out. Okay, so the main event, this is the fight we're all hyped about. Let me start with this. Originally, I was upset that Volk was taking this fight on such short notice after the KO of Islam. The thing about the Islam knockout is that he wasn't exactly head kick KO'd. I mean, he was, but he wasn't. He wasn't out cold. It was the subsequent shots that seemed a bit brutal, and he did have a concussion, and Volk's been very open about how that was for him. But it wasn't a terrible knockout, and I think that if anyone could deal with something like this, it's Volk. Volk seems to be in a very positive, fun mindset right now. The video that he made is amazing with Sportsbet. I love it. I've watched it a few times. It's just fun and creative, and we're missing that in this day and age. It doesn't seem like an advertisement. But anyway, I think Volk's having fun. He's dealing with everything the best he can. He gave himself an extra month because originally it was going to be in January. So the fact that he's not doing that is something. It's better than nothing. Maybe a couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago, I was a bit more worried about Volk taking this fight, but having seen how he's doing now mentally and how he's looking physically, I feel a lot more confident. Having said that, I do believe Ilia Topuria is legitimate. He is very skilled, he's well-rounded, he's level-headed, and he will not give up. I was looking at his record, and I rewatched the fight with Jai Herbert, and I forgot that he nearly got knocked out and finished in that fight. But he came back from such a really bad situation, and I think that's really impressive, because he was a last-minute replacement for Jai Herbert's opponent. When was this? Maybe a couple of years ago, yeah, in March 22, and at first when I watched it, I was thinking, oh, well, he can be knocked out, but I didn't realize it was under those circumstances. And then I thought, well, the fact that he didn't give up and he fought through not getting finished and then KO'd Jai Herbert at a higher weight class was very impressive. So I'm not counting Ilia out. I don't expect him to quit at any stage in this fight, and he is undefeated, so we've got to respect that. Ilia has a slight height advantage, which I don't think will really help in this fight. He has a slight leg reach, but only by an inch. And Volk has the hand reach advantage. I think the tale of this fight is we have someone who's a legend. He is in his prime, but it's a matter of is he at the tail end of that versus someone in Ilia Topuria who's a massive talent, who's undefeated. But the question is it too soon? Is he too young? He's only 27. That is quite young to be fighting for a title, especially against someone as experienced and as talented and durable as Alexander Volkanovski. So it's just a matter of if it's too soon. The odds are very even. I would favour them a little bit more for Volk, just a little bit more. I know people are taking into account the quick turnaround against Islam and all that, but I think that's a little bit hasty just to be basing a lot of this fight off the stats although they have made sense, I think that Volkanovski is a different animal. The other part of Ilia Toporia's experience is that Volk has had more tests to get to the belt, so he has had, you know, a little bit more experience. And when he went to fight for the belt against Max Holloway, he was ready. He'd already beaten all these previous champions, where I'm not sure whether Ilia has fought any previous champions. Maybe he has, but I can't see from here. So the fight with Josh Emmett was a masterclass. Josh Emmett has, as they say, very meat and potatoes striking, and Ilia is good at striking. He is sophisticated. He's very sophisticated with the boxing. I don't think he is as sophisticated as Volkanovski is in an all-rounded mixed martial arts way. But regardless, Ilia put on a masterclass against Josh Emmett, which was impressive. Josh Emmett couldn't get him anywhere. The submission against Bryce Mitchell said he was sick, which I do believe Bryce. I don't think he's going to lie about anything because he wears his heart on his sleeve. When I rewatched that fight, it was closer than I thought. And the fact that Ilia did weather the storm again with Bryce was impressive. So I give him credit for that as well. And the Jai Herbert fight, which I spoke about, was impressive because it was last minute. He has been through the fire in some senses, but he hasn't fought the same caliber of fighters and at championship level that Volkanovski has. But I think Ilia is a threat. I think he's a legitimate contender. Then again, is it too soon? It would have been interesting to see him fight Max, because I don't know whether he would have been able to beat Max. Most of his trash talk is good. I heard Luke Thomas say that it doesn't translate well to English, which is probably why he seems to rub people the wrong way with some of the things he says, the way he presents himself. I do truly think he is confident, though. I don't think he's putting it on. He's putting it on a bit of trash talk, which I think is out of character. Like, maybe he's putting on a bit too much riff-raff. I don't really know how much it matters. I wonder how much pressure he's putting on himself when he does the trash talk. He doesn't seem to be serious. I think he truly respects Volk. But when he says he's going to go out and knock him out in the first round, I do not believe he believes he's going to have that fight. Ilia Topuria does not fight like that. He's a smart fighter. But before I go into a prediction, let me talk more about Volk. Like I said earlier, Volk is one of a kind. He's truly unique. He's got that Mediterranean bloodline, that warrior bloodline. Ilia does too. Most fighters do. But I think Volkanovski has this special gift. He's just different. Physically, he's very strong. He's just a natural-born warrior, but he's had time to hone to his peaks, hone his skills to his peaks. The other thing I want to note is that his confidence has not wavered despite the 2 losses to Islam. I think that's only fueled him. Even though he did make a rash decision to fight Islam late notice, he is a true warrior because he says he's afraid of losing, but he's not afraid of taking a risk. And I think that's admirable. And even though it wasn't the smartest choice maybe for his career, I do think that he's completely embraced that. And I think that's a very, very powerful thing, not to regret anything like that. He has double the experience and of a higher level, which I mentioned earlier. He has a few more tricks in mixed martial arts, whereas Ilia is more stronger in the boxing, but Ilia does have that black belt. However, I feel like the jiu-jitsu might be nullified a bit with Volkanovski's wrestling and also with the body shape that they are. I think Volkanovski was maybe more susceptible to Brian Ortega's kind of jiu-jitsu because Brian was so long and lanky, and I think that's harder to deal with when you're a shorter guy, but these guys are both stocky, very similar. I think it's going to be more equal. I think this is going to be a very, very competitive fight. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be back and forth, and I can't see either guy giving in. What's that? Oh yeah, I already talked about it. So my official prediction is this is going to be a really exciting fight. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be going to the decision, and it's going to be very close, but I think that Volkanovski is going to edge it out and prove everyone who he is. He's going to prove to everyone that he is Alexander the Great. And I'm not just being biased here. I'm trying not to be anyway, but I'm giving Ilia Topuria every chance to win. But I just feel like Volkanovski's got more of a chance to win this fight, and I do believe it's going to go to the decision. I'm giving Volkanovski maybe, if this fight's fought 4 times, I'm giving Volkanovski 3 out of 4 chances to win and Ilia 1. I still think Ilia does have a chance to maybe catch Volk, but I can't see him knocking him out with 1 punch. And I think Volk is smart enough to weather that. And likewise, I think if Volk gets Ilia, I think Topuria is smart enough to weather the storm, and he's shown that. So we've got a very competitive fight, but I think that experience is going to be Volk's friend here, and I think he's going to get it done. Maybe by split decision even. So yeah, that's my prediction. Whew, I'm excited. I'm a bit nervous. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. This is a really good card. But thanks for all the support. Thanks for commenting. I really enjoyed doing this and hearing your thoughts as well. Thanks for all the subscribers as well. I really wasn't expecting this much traction, I guess. Maybe in the future I would like to do a few more things, a few more videos, maybe a live stream or something, or a fight companion. But it's just a matter of time. I gotta, maybe, you know, in the year I'll have a bit more time to do all that stuff, but at the moment I got other commitments. But yeah, I'm gonna go get this video edited, and thanks for watching. Enjoy the fights and see you around the traps.